Good evening and welcome to the Stephen Leeson Show, brought to you live from the Scientology Community Centre, Dublin. I'm Fergus Foran and I'm delighted to be filling in for Stephen tonight. I have two very creative and talented guests on the show with me. Later on we'll be meeting Robbie Kane, actor and roving reporter, just arrived back from an assignment in Croatia that I'll be asking him about amongst other things. But first, I'd like to introduce you to multi-instrumentalist, music producer, singer-songwriter and performer Zack Boone. His music has appeared in international award-winning movies, and his song, Is It True, was chosen by BBC Six DJ Tom Robinson as one of his top 15 tracks of the year. Please welcome Zack Boone.
Hello, this is a song about the type of person you might meet sometimes in your life, or very often, who's low in confidence and self-image and is constantly self-criticizing, but you're seeing something else, you're seeing something amazing in that person. That's about that phenomenon. This is simply called Beautiful. Say that stuff, it's just not true. Forget that love, it's just not you. You're out your mind. Oh, what do you do? Leaving behind, discover you. You don't seem to know how beautiful you are, how you've come so far. Look at who you are. You don't seem to notice all the things you got, obvious or not. Look at what you got. Your delusions control your mind. Those illusions make you blind. F-E-A-O, acronym for false evidence, appearing real. You don't seem to know how beautiful you are, how you've come so far. Look at who you are. You don't seem to notice all the things you got, obvious or not. Look at what you got. Go to sleep. You're my love, and I'll still be here in the morning. Love, I'll be. You're my love, to sleep. You don't seem to know how beautiful you are, how you've come so far. Look at who you are. You don't seem to notice all the things you got, obvious or not. Look at what you got. I've lived in quite a number of cities and towns, and after a while, when you've done your thing, you kind of have had enough and you just want to get away to the countryside and somewhere quiet to find yourself again and all that. Well, that's what happened to me, and then I ended up living in one particular city, and I just had enough, had to get away. So I went to Google and looked up the most remotely inhabited island on the planet. Is where I was fantasizing about living. And it turned out to be this island that was 2,000 miles from the nearest mainland. And a ship would visit there every 10 weeks. And there was a population of about 195 people, one car, one cop car, one road, loads of sheep. Anyway, that island is called Tristan Da Cunha, and this song is called Tristan Da Cunha. I was sitting beside the sea, dreaming of you and me. Oh, my little island in the sun. I was thinking of all the fun, all the memories, all the little foolish fantasies. Well, I know you're remote, you're a whole week by boat, but you're worth the longest trip on earth. Tristan Da Cunha, it's hard not to miss you. I've been all over, but nowhere compares. Ooh, Tristan Da Cunha. I could get a ticket, I could get this done, I could really do it. On the Cape Town run, I could soak up the sun, we could raise up the sails, you and I in schools of Orchid Wales. Happy days, Tristan Da Cunha, it's hard not to miss you. I've been all over, but nowhere compares. Ooh, Tristan Da Cunha, you're an inaccessible archipelago. You're in Garden Golden Pins, Edgar Allan Poe with your birds and your trees and your hives for your bees. Edinburgh of the seven seas, Isle of Oceanic Valkyries. Tristan Da Cunha, it's hard not to miss you. I've been all over and nowhere compares. Ooh, Tristan Da Cunha. Maybe I could stay this June, see a full Tristan moon. Maybe I could sing this tune to the Tristan commune. Tristan, it's hard not to miss you. I've been all over, nowhere compares. Ooh, ah, Tristan Da Cunha. Now I'm sitting beside the sea. There's only you and me, waiting for the Cape Town Tristan run. It's with a heavy heart that I must depart. Goodbye, my little island in the sun. Well, I know you're remote, you're a whole week by boat. Still, you're worth the longest trip on earth. Tristan Da Cunha, I'm gonna miss you. This song is about a number of people. Anybody who's ever lost their mother, in particular, might relate to some of the lyrics in this one. It's simply called I Miss You. And I'd like to dedicate this to Asha, who is the reason we're all here, namely the performers and our host, Fergus. Gently switch your heart back on. Listen to me. Try to sing your song. Do you know my love? Every time I go, my love, I miss you. Don't you give up on me, little angel. I got a little something for you. I know you know my love, and I know that telling you will never be enough, but I miss you. I found a little place by the ocean. I was thinking maybe you and me could go there. Take a boat, my love. I could try to stay afloat, my love. I miss you. Don't want to see another plane for a while. They only make me think of you. I've traveled millions of miles. I just want to stay. I just want to stay. Baby, you're the only thing that makes sense. And the strength you thought I had was only pretense. Did you know my love? Did it show my love? I miss you. I could find work closer to home. I wouldn't have to roam. I'd see you every day. I just want to stay. I just want to stay. I get an easy feeling when I'm with you. If I could stay here for the night, you know I would do. Do you know my love? Am I slow, my love? I miss you. Oh, love, don't look at me that way. Oh, love, there has to be another way. There's always another way. What makes a man hang on by a thread? Hang there limp till he's nearly dead. Do you know my love? Am I slow, my love? I miss you. I really do.
We'll be having more music from Zack later, but now I'd like to introduce you to my next guest, Robbie Kane. Robbie has worked in media for 15 years and presented on numerous shows, including Dublin Live and Ireland's Classic Hits. Not only is he an accomplished presenter, but he also has an impressive track record as an actor. Let's meet him now and find out more. So,
well, Fergus, thank you so much for having me.
Robbie.
Zack Boone, what a legend. I mean,
Yeah.
unbelievable. I had the pleasure of interviewing Zack on many occasions and being in his company. And to hear him sing again tonight, it's just great.
Yeah.
He's so original, isn't
yeah,
he?
he really is.
Yeah,
And
I love him.
it's no secret, since I was talking to him earlier on, that I've been listening to his stuff on Spotify all day today in the car. I've added him to my playlist, and like, I'm quite obsessive when I find a song that I really love, and I just listen to it over and just go back and back again. Like, yeah.
just
So
one
you
of them
two guys
voices.
know each other?
I interviewed Zack, would you believe, a few years back on Near FM. I've done radio for the last 15 years. I've done acting as well, as you rightly said, and thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I started off my career in radio on Near FM, then I got a job in commercial radio, which was for Dublin's Q102. I was a presenter there, got made redundant, as many people do, and Classic Hits 4FM took me on as a reporter.
Lovely.
And I was doing stuff for the Niall Boylan show.
Uh-huh.
And of course, you know, Zack's friend Karen knew Niall, and it just, you know, the friendship kind of arisen from there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then now I'm working for Dublin Live, which is an online publication from the Mirror. So I do something similar than what I did on the Niall Boylan show. I'm a roving reporter.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And yeah, you said at the opening link, I was just back from Croatia.
Yes.
I get spoiled sometimes, because I have to say, sent over there by MCD
Yeah.
Productions, and it was to preview Corteo,
Right.
which is a show by Cirque du Soleil, which is coming to
Excellent.
Dublin
Yeah,
I
of
know,
course,
in
yeah,
July, and
yeah.
it was just amazing. My first time ever in Croatia.
Yeah.
We stayed in Split, and it's absolutely beautiful.
So I've heard. I've never been. I've heard it's amazing. Yeah.
Just
yeah.
brilliant place to go.
Yeah.
So it was a great review, and anyone who is seeing the ads on the television at the moment, it's a must-see to go
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Excellent.
doing a great job, by the way.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah.
I'm because my day job is I'm a Stephen Leeson impersonator, but I'm not very good.
Well, Aisha told me I was going to be interviewed by Richard and Judy, but I don't
Yeah.
see where they are today.
No,
so,
I couldn't make
yeah.
it, so you're stuck with me whether you like it
It's
or not.
great. My pleasure.
And it's lovely to sit down and have a chat with you. I wanted to ask you about, you spoke about reporting, and obviously that's a big part of your life. But would you see yourself as a reporter who acts or an actor who reports, or where does your, I suppose, what floats your boat? Where does that lie?
Well,
What do you prefer? What way is that?
Well, realistically, I prefer to be on set. I love being on set. So I
Yeah.
was on Fair City 15
Of
years
course,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
I appeared as a journalist, and well, not a journalist. I was a journalist in The Letters by Robbie Walsh there
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, which is
Wow,
out in cinemas this year.
Yeah.
And before that, being typecast here, Fergus,
Yeah.
I played something like yourself, a TV reporter.
Right.
In
Yeah.
The Broken Law, which starred, of course, Johnny Connors and
Yes.
Tristan Da Cunha,
Yeah,
and
fantastic,
I'd done
yeah.
a job like you. I had to
Yeah.
interview one of the main characters. I loved
Yeah.
that. That was great. That was being on set.
Yeah.
But actors, you don't get jobs all the time. It
Yeah,
comes
of
in
course,
waves.
Of course. Yeah.
And luckily, I mean, during the pandemic, I was asked to come on board with Dublin Live.
Right.
And
yeah.
I was writing articles with them initially.
Wow.
But my forte would be on the streets, interviewing
Yeah.
people and,
Yeah.
catching up on situations. Unfortunately, there was a bit of an accident outside O'Connell Street Station today, and I had to report
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
And it can change from one thing or the other. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I interviewed Pat Short before. You have
I'd
fun.
say that
doing
was
it.
some crack.
Great fun. From the minute I went into
He's
the
a hoot,
hotel room
yeah.
with his daughter,
Yeah,
he got me, I got him.
Yeah.
And we went live. We could get the connection, and it was just fun.
Yeah, and that's I suppose when you can bounce off someone like that, it makes it all the more pleasurable. Yeah, and was there ever a situation like that would stick in your mind? Because I'd listen to Vox Pops on the radio and stuff like that as well. Was there ever any time that you met somebody and when either you were really struck by something that it really moved you, or something that sticks with you? Was there ever anything like that?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. Like one extreme to the other. Like I was doing stuff yesterday. I was interviewing an owner of a new bar called The Bar. Yeah. His name is Brian Conlon.
Very original name.
Yeah. But then on the opposite scale of that, I had to go down and interview homeless people who were camping in the middle of O'Connell Street.
Right. Yeah.
And one guy's name was Harry or Henry from Hungary. Yeah. And he was telling me his story, why he was there and why the tents was there. He said he was going to make the tents into a tourist attraction and to give 2 tents he had with him, 2 homeless people who would have been homeless that night, to stay there, which is very kind, a very sincere thing to do. Yeah. So I love when I hear the real stories from the real people. Yeah. I get asked to interview politicians quite often. I'll go to press briefings, and I've thrown questions at the Tánaiste, Leo Varadkar, the Taoiseach, obviously Micheál Martin, and the President. Before, yes, there was a unveiling of a bench for a top actor, Johnny, if I get the second name, in Crumlin, and the President was there with Sabina, and I was asked to cover it. And I have to say, the two of them are brilliant with people. Yeah. And I was nearly as close to you, to the President, Sabina, and I threw a question at him, and then she took the mic off me and off she went. So it's stuff like that that makes it really good and enjoyable. I mean, every day is different in media. I'm privileged to have a job and blessed to have a job in Dublin Live, and I do appreciate it, but every day is different. You don't know where you're coming from, what you're going to do, and if the phone rings at 7:30 in the morning or a text comes in, you know something's not right. On the negative thing, you have to go cover it. It could be a bad accident or crash or a shooting, which is happening quite a lot. But when you are on set, it's a different story, because you forget all your troubles and you just be someone else who you're not meant to be, and off you go. And
one thing actually I wanted to ask you as well, when you spoke there about interviewing politicians, was there any politician in particular that you said, oh, they're a bit tricky, or are they all genuinely? I think Irish politicians appear sometimes to be different than politicians elsewhere, is that you'll generally get a straight answer from some of them without too much. But was there anyone you ever interviewed where you said, come on, will you answer the question?
Not really, because most of them are very forthcoming. I interviewed Jerry Adams before, and Mary Lynn McDonald on numerous occasions. And she's very adaptable. She just go with the flow of the whole thing, and she's great. She really is good. Probably one of my favourite politicians. Ivana Bacik, I can never pronounce her second name.
Labour senator, isn't she?
She was only a Labour leader a day, and there was a protest on outside the Dáil, and I was there again to send the covers, and I went over to say, how does it feel to be like the leader party of the new party, Ivana? And she looked at me, and she looked at her colleague, and they ran. She just ran away from me. So I don't know if it was the fear. I know she was on the RTÉ Radio 1 radio show before that, and she got grilled, and she was probably running away from the media at that particular time. But that was the only politician who ran away from me. The rest would be very upfront, and they'd say stuff to you. They like getting your attention. And when I'm doing Dublin Live interviews, it's live on our Facebook camera.
Oh, brilliant. So there's nowhere to escape.
There's nowhere to escape. So Ivana didn't realise that at the time, or she was caught on camera, and she ran away from me. But,
oh, God.
I mean, look, there you go. Scarred her for you, there you go. I'll get her again and I'll mention it to her, but I found that was a bit not wrong, but I mean, if you're at a protest where you're the leader of the Labour Party, and someone comes up to you with a Dublin Live mic and asks you to ask a question, and there was a nice question, how does it feel like to be the Labour, and you run away from the reporter? It's a bit... But Micheál Martin, I have to say, he was great. He didn't know who it was at first, because there was a protest on as well. But I told him who it was, and then he came back to me, and he gave me a great answer. He was great. He was good.
I've met Micheál. He does get a hard time. But I don't have any particular allegiances, but I did meet him, and I can identify with that. I found him to be a really nice guy who just had time to talk to everybody. Like,
absolutely. So the politicians, I guess sometimes their names mixed up, or what they're... all the time, especially if they're not in the opposition. I just call them deputies when I know they're in opposition and what they're standing for. But once you call them deputy, they realise you know half the story, and you just wing it with them, because they just like to talk, and then you get back to reaction, and it's good. So it's all good. The politicians are the best to talk to. Celebrities can be good as well, but you're afraid what to say to them.
Exactly. Well, that's it. And what about with your acting? So you were in Fair City. Tell me a little bit about what that was. I was always fascinated by Fair City and where it is.
Of course,
And,
it's
I know it's in
Carristown.
Dublin,
It's
but
based,
I know it's based in Carristown, but like where is it in Dublin?
Well, years ago, it was originated from the North Star Hotel. There was a little kind of
right.
cul-de-sac area where they'd done the outdoor scenes before they could afford to build the sets.
Of course, yeah.
And I started off as a background actor back in 1995 in RTE.
Yeah.
And I got to know the crew out there. I played builders, I played people in the hospital, Gardaí, for Fair City. And then my agent at the time was Geraldine Dunn, and I left the extra work, background acting work, because they say if you keep on doing extra work or background acting work and you get an agent, it defies the purpose why you want to be an actor.
Exactly, yeah.
And I felt that disconnection. But in the meantime, I built up a good portfolio and rapport with the crew out there. They knew who I was. Lord behold, 6 months later, I got a casting for a role in Fair City. It was Johnny Ward's father, which I believe is dad, who was interviewed here before. I didn't get
Johnny,
that part, but was given another part. And then 6 months later, 3 months after that, I beg your pardon, he said, look, we have a role for you as a gangster. Shave your head. I know you were on it 3 months ago, and see how it goes. And Lord behold, I was in there for 2 years.
Brilliant. And that must be great to have, as an actor, to have that continuity and that little bit of security there as well, you know, to have a kind of a steady job insofar as you can as an actor. I was looking at your profile as well and the different stuff that you've done. So you've been involved in some films with some really brilliant people as well, some great directors. Tell us a bit about that.
Loads of great directors that I've worked with. Probably Mike Newell was the first director I worked with, and I was kind of a featured background actor. And there were 7 of us all together, and we were all sailors. But in that movie, it was called An Awfully Big Adventure, was Alan Rickman and Hugh Grant. And we got to play football with Hugh Grant and Alan Rickman in Bray Wanderers Football Club for 2 days, dressed up as sailors.
No sliding tackles.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And then we had to go on this bus.
I can see you doing it, actually.
Had to go on this bus in town, and with Billy Barry Kids was with us as well. So the Billy Barry Kids, Alan Rickman, Hugh Grant, other actors and actresses, and, you know, all these sailors. And singing I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside. It was just hilarious. That was back before Weddings, the Funeral became even big. You know what I mean? But looking back, it's like, wow. But to get a good director was great. Paddy Slattery, of course, directed Broken Law, and of course, he was in the wheelchair. But when you get a good director who gives you good time and good space and good involvement in the movie to make it your movie, not just his, it's really lovely to kind of to get that. And Paddy Slattery was one of my favourite directors over Mike Newell, even though he had a bigger cast.
Oh God, I was just thinking how it's gas when you look back at stuff like that before the days of Facebook as well. you can say, like, you can tell people about it, and it's great even to have the platform of a show like this to be able to say, oh wait, you hear this, like, you know, Alan Rickman and I was dressed as a sailor. It must be just an amazing bit of fun.
It seems like I'm boasting about it, but you asked the question and I'm giving the I don't go out and say, no, by the way, I was but I mean, we got to play football.
Oh, I'd have that up on my Facebook if it was there. Like, of course you would.
And of course, Alan Rickman passed away sadly, and it was just a joy to be in the movie with him. And it's Johnny Connors as well. He's a great actor. I've worked with him before, and Johnny, you know, has his vocal points. It makes no difference what he says, nothing to do with me. But when you're on set with Johnny Connors, he's a raw, real, talented actor, and I have a lot of time for him, and I respect him in that particular field and fold as well.
And that was just another question I was going to ask you with regard to acting as well. You've kind of answered it there with Alan Rickman and Hugh. But is there any actor that you acted with that you thought, wow, apart from obviously Johnny you've just spoken about there, but was there anyone where you kind of said, this person is something I would aspire to, I'd love to have that kind of profile? Or when you're acting, is it the case that, well, they're just another actor?
Just another actor to a point. I mean, when I went on set for Broken Law, I never knew the top actor, Tristan Da Cunha. I keep on pronouncing the second name wrong. And I just arrived on set. I didn't realise it was the main actor of the movie at the time, but looking back at the movie, I was. So it depends who it is. It can be anybody, really. Colin Farrell, I used to have a buzz with, as they say, back in the day in the pod. And he's a top-class actor, and he has put Ireland on the map for this particular arts and crafts worldwide. Looking back at the actors when I was growing up, we always like Richard Branson or... you know, Marlon Brando, that type of thing. The old school actors, which I'd always inspired to be, which I didn't really go down that road to a point. But I mean, it's just an actor who you're on stage with or in a movie with that gives you time and gives you your own independence, doing your role and doing your lines is great. Someone that overtakes it gets kind of a bit devious. You do come across them type of people, and you kind of say, do you know what, we're here just doing the job. Because sometimes you're sent on set, you haven't met the other actor before.
Yeah.
You've done your rehearsals before, and you do it, and if you see a Divas drop, and you're trying to say, do you know what?
Yeah.
Relax, like,
yeah,
come on,
I mean,
like,
that's a
yeah,
line.
it's-
Isn't that the kind of line that, look, we're all trying to make a living, lads? Let's just get on with it.
Who's your
like.
favourite actor? Who would you like to inspire to be? Because you've done stuff like this before, haven't you?
I've done a bit of acting, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be. Alan Rickman, actually, I loved. What's his name? That did Michael Collins, the Irish actor. Name just escapes, big guy.
Liam Neeson.
No, not Liam Neeson, the other fella.
Fassbender.
No, the other lad.
There's loads of them, isn't there?
Gleeson, Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson, of
Brendan
course,
Gleeson,
yeah.
I love. I think he is just on fire on the screen. I absolutely adore watching him on television, and makes me feel proud to be Irish every time I see him. Have you ever met him? Have you ever worked with him?
No, I've seen him out before, but I've never actually worked with him. Yes, and, he's
Crack
actually,
musician as well.
Yeah, they're brilliant, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're really so good. I mean, there's so much raw talent here in this country.
Oh, there really
Patrick
is.
Bergen I spoke to recently,
wow,
and you should get him on here. He'd love this.
Yeah,
he sings and does poems and everything. He's a great actor.
Wow.
Have a word with you have the
let's
bosses after
discuss,
this.
let's discuss,
He
yeah.
would love this.
Yeah.
He'd be great to have here to interview.
So is there anything on the horizon for you at the moment? Is there anything in particular you're focusing on, or are you focusing as much on the reporting now? That seems to be something that really has you busy at the moment.
Very good question, because when you're in the acting mode, the focus is all about the roles.
Of
And
course.
you're in that kind of zone, the castings start to come in. Now, we do thankfully get a couple of castings in from my agent, Maureen Ward, on a regular basis.
Brilliant.
But at the moment, it's all about Dublin Live,
Maureen,
and that's
of
what I
course.
have to do.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I'm focused on that. Unless Hollywood really wants me to appear in a movie, I'll actually take
with an
time off and
agent-
do it.
With an agent like Maureen, you're in good
She's
hands.
brilliant.
Anyway.
I love her.
Yeah.
I really love her.
Look, it's been absolutely fantastic sitting down and having a chat with you, and really looking forward to doing it again and sitting down and spending more time with you. And all the best and the very best of luck in everything that you're doing. It was a pleasure
Fergus,
chatting.
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And great interview. Thank
It
you.
was our pleasure. Thanks a million. Cheers. Now, in our next interview, we'll also be finding out all about Zack and what he's been up to. But first, some more music.
This is a song simply about unrequited love. It's entitled, Is It True? And if my niece ever gets to see this, Katie Jo, this one is dedicated to you.
Yes, there was a girl I used to know, soft as Tupelo. Well, she talked a lot about a plan to find the perfect man. Deep in sleep she'd conjure up a song written for a king. On that fateful day he'd come along, she'd turn to him and sing, is it true? I was born for you. Am I yours by design? Is it true that I'm sworn for you? I am yours. Are you mine? Said I like your company and what you bring, especially when you sing. But your destiny is not with me and will never be. Do you really think that I belong in your melody? You should try to write another song called Reality. Is it true? I was born for you. Am I yours? Design. Is it true? I was born for you. I'm not yours. You're not mine. Don't go. Don't go. Please don't. Don't go. Don't go. Please don't. Well, they say it's pointless trying to fight what you know is right, especially when you sense your destiny. Best to let it be. Once she thought she needed company, like a swallow needs two wings. Now she says when loneliness allures, she follows it and sings.
About 5 years ago in Ireland, we had a chronic homeless situation, which we still do. I'm not going to get all political here, but there was a movement at the time called Apollo House, and it was a group of guys who commandeered a building in the heart and city centre of Dublin, and they housed a load of homeless people, and it gave a lot of people hope, and it was a very special occurrence. I wrote a song to honour those people, and it's called Home Sweet Home.
Home, sweet home. Home, sweet home. I rolled around with chest pains, stretched out in manky back lanes. The alley stank of hot piss, one smell I know I won't miss. I never thought I'd pull through. I pray for someone like you to take me somewhere safe and warm, a million miles from harm. Maybe waking a warm bed with the kicking head, stir a cup of hot black tea, watch a bit of trash TV. Maybe waking a warm bed with the kicked in head, backed in a doorway dead, stretched on a concrete bed. Home, sweet home. Home, sweet home. The city's river runs deep, her blackness turns me on. She lures me close, says soon all your pain will be gone. I don't wanna jump into a dead bum dump, 'cause somewhere beyond the city an angel waits for me, wide awake in a warm bed, to kiss a kicked in head. You've got a similar guise with your pretty little savior's eyes. Take me back to Apollo, with the kicked in head, backed in a doorway dead, stretched on a concrete bed. Home, sweet home. have a home. I'm not a cast-off forced to roam. Only for your kindness, all I'd ever know was blindness. So I never thought it would stop tonight. I know I'll end up somewhere safe and warm, a million miles from harm. With the kicked in head, backed in a doorway dead, stretched on a concrete bed. Home, sweet home. Home, sweet home. Home, sweet home. Sweet home.
When I was about 11 or 12, come home from school, sometimes the parents' bedroom door would be slightly ajar. It was a totally out-of-bounds place. You were not allowed in there. So, of course, myself and my brother, it was like the red button you're told not to press. We had to find out what was in there, in inverted commas, but just through a little chink in the door, we could see the wardrobe, and on the top shelf there was a stack of my dad's jumpers, and they were all perfectly neatly folded. And we just looked at each other, and we instinctively knew there was something underneath those jumpers. So, of course, one of us or both of us snuck in, slid our hand under the jumpers and found something. And that something was a book. And we looked at the cover, and the cover was a very pockmarked looking man. It was a black and white photograph. The photograph in itself was fascinating because it just screamed charisma, aura, something we couldn't quite articulate at the time, but we knew this guy looked different. We flicked open a few pages, read them, couldn't believe what we were reading. I remember coming out of the room thinking to myself, that's either the worst or the best thing I've ever written or I've ever read. And then I processed it for a few days, and then of course I came to the conclusion it was without doubt the best thing I'd ever read. It was like nothing I'd ever read. And that author is a guy called Charles Bukowski, which I kind of became slightly obsessed with. And I came across one of his poems, and it's called Bluebird. So I decided to put some music to it and a melody. And this is what I came up with. This one is called Bluebird. So thank you, Charles Bukowski.
There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I say stay in there. I'm not gonna let anybody see you. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I pour whiskey on him, inhale cigarette smoke, and the hoes and the bartenders and the grocery clerks never know he's in there. My bluebird. And the hoes and the bartenders and the grocery clerks never know he's in there. My bluebird. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I say stay down. Do you want to mess me up? You wanna blow my blue sails away? My blue bird. You wanna my blue bird. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too clever. I only let him out at night sometimes, when everyone's asleep. I say, I know you're in there, so don't be sad. Then I put him back, but he's singing a little in there. I haven't quite let him die. And we sleep together like that, with our secret pact. And it's nice enough to make a man weep, but I don't weep. Do you?
Well done, Zack. One of the things that keeps artists buoyed up and encourages them to go on is when people share, like, and stream their music. So I just wanted to remind everyone that Zack's music is available for download across all platforms. Please do remember to like, subscribe, listen, download, purchase, buy tickets to go to the shows, because without the support of the fans of the music, it makes it harder to survive as an artist. And Zack joins me now. So Zack, that was lovely, and lovely to see you on the show. So I am a big fan of yours, and you know this. I was telling you earlier on, listening to your stuff on Spotify, and a couple of songs in particular, I just have them on loop, as my wife and child can attest to the fact that I get quite obsessive over some songs. And to meet a songwriter like yourself that comes up with something so original and so different is so refreshing for everybody, I suppose, to hear. So tell us a little bit about where it started for you. How did you get into songwriting, and when did it happen?
I got into it in my mid-20s. I don't know why. I don't know when the urge or why the urge came over me. I suppose a lot of so-called creative people find it difficult to explain the creative side of it, where the urge and the compulsion comes from. But yeah, they're kind of arrived in my mid-20s, and Hassan left, and it takes over. You know yourself, you're a creator. Yeah, and you're a smashing guitarist. And has that been something that, again, was in your 20s, or had you played guitar before, or did you get into it at the same age as you started writing? Yeah, I see myself mainly as a guitarist. I don't see myself as a singer. It's not false modesty, but the guitar is something I've been playing since I was 16, and that's an obsession. And I saw myself mainly as a lead guitarist, and the singing thing, I've only been at that about 15 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I became obsessed with the guitar since I was 16. So it was electric guitar and lead playing and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about, you've a big fan in the BBC. And I can see why, having been listening to your music. It's very hard to pigeonhole the stuff that you do as well, and there's a lovely, really refreshing mix of stuff there. So tell me a bit about that and how that happened in the top 15.
Yeah, I'm getting stage fright here because I can't even bloody remember his name. Tom Robinson.
Tom Robinson,
yeah. I won't bore some people that listen to this, but for us Owlies, we'd remember Tom from the 80s, and he was big chart success. He had some monster hits. And now he's DJing with BBC Six.
Yeah.
And somebody sent in one of my songs to his show, and it was an open competition, and there are thousands of entries every month. Literally, they give the number, and then what happens is there's a load of panels, all regional, and they picked out one of my songs, and there was no pull, there was no cronyism, Irish style, involved. I wasn't supposed to be sending in entries because it's only for UK citizens. And then I got an email and a call from Tom Robinson saying, look, this is what you need to do to get it played. So I had to use a friend of mine's address who lives in the UK because they were the BBC rules. And he played it, and he chose it as a top 15 track. And then I got an email from him asking would I support him on his Irish tours. And so I supported him in Dublin and Cork, and that was brilliant. That was lovely man. Very talented.
And and I think that's testament to the fact that he recognised in you what I think other creative people will recognise is that, you know, it's something so complete. I wouldn't even say so completely different, but refreshingly different, that you don't know what the next track is going to be like. And I've been surprised by every new song that I've heard from you. But the fact that he contacted you and said, "No, listen, lad, if this is what you have to do to get this on," I think that in itself is a great testament that he actually took the time to do that, and then asked you to support him. Like, it's an amazing.
I don't mind admitting it was one of the highlights of my life. Well, like you said, wasn't very Irish in that there was no connections and favours and somebody working for me type of thing, you know. It was randomer, really. No, I'm delighted for you with that as well, and we have a few things in common. One of them is as well, we're both army brats. Our dads were both in the army. Well, I'm a brat, but anyway, sorry. You know, but like I found, and I come from a large family, but I don't know if it was similar for you, but it gives you a certain type of discipline growing up in an army household. Tell us what it was like for you, or was that the case in your house? Yeah, I asked my dad, and my mother was, my dad always that routine bound and regimented, and she said, yeah, he was, so he found the army. He was like that before he joined the army, and then, of course, the army was perfect for that kind of, and he's still, I was going to say if he's this, that, he won't be. But and then what happened was I rebelled against the routine obsession. And I learned to abhor routine. It's just a typical rebel against what your dad is doing. But he was the quintessential soldier time-wise, but not career-wise. Anyway, you know all the crack there. It was even though when you said in the description of, you know, finding that book and, you know, looking in the door and seeing everything perfectly folded, you're kind of going, I can identify with that. I thought you'd relate to that. And look, it's just one of those things. I mean, it's a nice thing to have in common with someone as well. Actually, that image, it's funny when you see that was the exterior. And then if... I'm not going to repeat the actual name of the book. I'll tell you after. Because there might be a few offendees out there. But it's an incredible title. And but just to see what he was really into, as opposed to the neat stacked jumpers. Exactly. And it's always interesting when you find out stuff, I suppose, about your parents as well. Exactly, I think, speaking for myself, I found out more about my own dad after he died than I ever knew about him in his long life. You know. And then people tell you stories about your dad, and and then you start, your admiration for your dad starts growing exactly. When you're hearing a different perspective. And I mean, I jokingly say that, and I think I might have said it to you earlier, that when people talk about him, and here we are talking about our dads in a most respectful way, because they make us who we are, whether we like it or not. But I had said that I get on really well with him ever since he died, you know, and it's a fact, because you don't really sometimes get to know that generation until after they're gone, you know. Well, there's a kind of an idealization that occurs as well when someone dies as well. And it's like, with respect, my own mother died, and I hear my dad talking about her now, and it's like you're listening to someone who is beatified, you know, and you're going, no, you weren't kind of saying
yeah,
that when she was alive.
yeah. And I think that's a nice part of our culture as well.
Yeah, true.
Not to speak ill of the dead. But and with regard to your songwriting, and I'm always fascinated by this because I've seen and spoken to so many different singer-songwriters and their approach. How does that process work for you? Because I know it's different for everybody. So do you get an idea and work from there, or do you just say, I'm going to write a song and sit down and do it in a workman-like way? What way does that work?
Yeah, that's a very interesting way you described it. You sit down in a workman-like way. That rarely happens because, as you know, as a creator, we're very scattered when it comes to the artistic side of ourselves. So it happens a million different ways. I don't have a set way. A riff could inspire a song, a chord progression, or a top-line melody, or a lyrical idea, but one of those songs, for example, the Home Sweet Home one, that would have been, I said, I'm going to sit down and write a song about that. So that would be a strange way of working for me. But then I've an album coming out, just finishing out, and there's a few songs on that I sat down and went, I'm going to write a song about blah, 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 which I'd never done before. Interesting way of working. It's like writing to order.
Yeah. And just on so they'll be available and released on Spotify, iTunes,
all the
everything.
Spotify and all the usual.
And do you produce all your own stuff, or do you get other people involved? Because one thing, the production value in your songs, as I've been listening to them, is really good. And that kind of brings me on to a segue into another question as well, because you're involved in teaching the younger generation as well. Maybe tell us a bit about that and how that happened and what that is and how it's part of your life.
Yeah, it's a big, wonderful part of my life, thank God, that my daytime job, as in my 40-hour-a-week job, is... I'm a so-called instructor. It's really a teacher stroke lecturer in a thing called sound production and music performance. That's the name of the course. I have to deliver. That's the PC term. But and I get to teach and help some amazing characters. Really, really, really funny, interesting, amazing characters. And that'll be a highlight, aside from all the music stuff, which I adore. But to see these guys see what they become as a result of applying themselves, and it's the centre I teach is probably, with respect to the other courses, none of them float out of the section the way they do coming from music. And everybody sees that. It's just it's the ultimate thing, isn't it? Music, really. Yeah,
it is, and it's like finding your tribe. It's something I often say to young people as well. When you find that tribe. And you feel so at home and so part of it. And I think people like yourself sometimes, and maybe you don't underestimate it, but I've often felt that with people who influenced me, my teachers, and I've been to a few funerals in the last couple of years as they're getting to the age where they're passing on. But the influence a teacher can have on the young people sometimes can really be life-changing. And I could tell you 2 or 3 people I met. And I'm just wondering, do you ever see that? Do you ever see a student where you go, they're a different person now than they were, and realise the influence that you might have on them?
It's a precarious situation because you would like to, and that's ultimately your raison d'etre. It's your everything, but I'm not going to say that straight out, but I'll be very honest, that's my aim. But you can't say whether you've ever achieved it. I would smile to myself and people who say certain things certain times, but I do remember one, that's what I try to do. That's what it's, because it is, as you said, they leave a stamp, they leave their mark, and
of course.
Good and bad. I can remember one particular teacher who did 3 years in prison. And then one of our teachers for, you can imagine. And then another teacher who was an absolute living God and a saint, and I adored that man, and he was so good to me. So you get, you've seen both ends of the spectrum. But then I asked this guy in my local town, I asked, I'm going to say his name because it's Willie Garrity. I remember going to him in a pub, and I asked him, because I could see all the way, he'd be out in the pub and all of his past pupils would be all coming to him and say, how are you, Willie? How are you? And I could see the way these guys were talking to him and treating him, that he must have been an amazing teacher. And I said, well, what is your philosophy? And he just said, just be kind and listen to them. And I was expecting this big treatise, and he just said 2 simple sentences, and I thought, that tells me everything.
And it's kind of something, it's so simple. And how many times do we hear it now in the age of hashtag be kind, and it's as simple as that sometimes,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Be
exactly.
kind and listen to people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
very simple recipe.
Yeah.
About what we're supposed to be doing.
I was
isn't it?
expecting
Yeah.
some miraculous answer, but
Yeah.
anyway,
yeah.
he was. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anyone you've ever thought that you were just blown away by, that you just look at and go, here, this kid's going to be amazing?
There is. And if he's listening now, Reese Coyne.
Right.
I was talking to his girlfriend this morning, and she showed me stuff he taught her. This guy has been playing guitar about 2.5 years, and what he can do now is jaw-dropping. He never, 2.5 years ago, he never picked up a guitar. Now, when I mean jaw-dropping, I mean, there's a band called Polyphia. It was all this, all this tapping and all sorts of stuff I can't do.
Yeah.
And he's doing that, and he was practicing 8 hours a day during the lockdown, and so he is a phenomenon. And there are other phenomenal guys. Most of the guys, all the guys I'm teaching at the moment, are all utterly obsessed.
Yeah, yeah.
And they bought all their own equipment. And they're only 18, and between 18 and 20. I mean, spend a few €1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting loans and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great. It's amazing to see
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And it really is, like, it's encouraging, and you can always kind of say, like, the future's safe with these younger people coming up. And I mean, the future's safe from the point of view of creativity, singing, songwriting, and stuff like that. But when is your album due out? You said you just finished it up. Have you a
Definitely
date?
this year, and
Brilliant.
it'll be the marketing campaign. It'll take me a couple of months to get together,
Yeah.
but the production of it is 98% there.
Brilliant.
So,
Brilliant.
it's
Brilliant.
an insane amount of work.
Yeah, well, I'm a fan. I can't wait to hear it now.
Well,
really,
thanks, Fergus.
really looking forward to it.
Thank you.
So take me back as well to when you were a kid. You spoke about when you were in school. And you said you got into performing and singing, songwriting when you were in your 20s. Like, were you in the school choir or anything like that? Was that a thing, or did you write poetry, or did that creative spark kind of, was that there, or was it just no? Yeah,
I think that the little doodles you do in school are very revealing, and my doodle was always a football. So, and then when I was about 15 or 16, it changed to a Fender Stratocaster electric guitar. So that'll kind of tell you my change in interest. No, there was nobody either side of my family ever played an instrument.
Wow.
My brother and my father, extremely interested in music and knowledgeable, but still, I'm the only person on either side that has picked up an instrument, and there was a reason I picked it up. But anyway, I just became obsessed with it, and I was only 14 or 15 when something clicked in me. But before that, my whole life was sports.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Wow. Okay, well, look, I can't wait for the album to come out, and thanks so much for coming in. I feel like a kindred spirit sitting across the chair for me.
And I can't wait to see your play.
Oh, yeah, Karan, we'll give you a couple of complimentary tickets. But thanks, Stephen, for mentioning it. That's very kind of you. But look, it really has been a real pleasure listening to your music and getting to know you, and look forward to spending time with you in the future. It really was a great time.
Thanks very much, Fergus. And thanks very much to the Church of Scientology and Asha Kuzma in particular, and all the crew.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
team here. Yeah, great. So, I can't believe it, but we're at the end of another amazing live Stephen Leeson Show. In next week's show, we'll be having live music from the band Illegal Smile. Plus, we'll be interviewing a man of many talents, Brian Riley. We'll see you again next Friday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Good night.